let's pull out the book. This is exciting.
The book.
So this is, you co-authored with Kathy Kane, Nurturing Resilience, helping clients move forward from developmental trauma, an integrative somatic approach. And so you and Kathy Kane have come to this collaboration.
Yeah, the way this all came about originally, Nurturing Resilience came out, it's a brand new book, by the way, so, it still smells new.
That's right.
The way that it all came about was that we, in a hotel, a Airbnb actually, in New York City, she was teaching touch skills. This was many years ago. I was assisting her in the class. We had a meeting about whether or not there was an encouragement for me to teach a class for therapists who worked with children. At that time, in the somatic world, there was nobody out there working with children. And so she and I, through our relationship, decided to go forward and we would teach together. And so we started teaching somatic resilience and regulation. We wrote the program, we brought in my work, we brought in her work, and we merged those two pieces of work. Out of that, North Atlantic saw some blurbs about our work. They did some stuff. We came together with North Atlantic, and they invited us to write a book. And we wrote the book, and it's coming out the first week of May. It'll be shipped. It's on Amazon. It's on Barnes & Noble, most book distribution sites. It's ready, and will be going out. This is an early copy that's out that we have with us today.
And do you think that this book is like therapists who haven't had somatic training at all? Will they find things in it that they can use or at least get concepts?
Yes, they're going to find things. What we didn't do in the book, and we did it with intention, is the book isn't about what to do. It doesn't say, oh, this is how you do a touch, or this is how, because that really needs to be taught in a more formal. We didn't want people to go, oh, we're going to go out here and try something without some sort of supervision. This book is built and written totally about regulation and understanding the concept of regulation and using regulation in order to bring about healing or for the client change. The book has been pre-ordered by lots of clients, lots of people out there. I've been interviewed by a multitude of agencies that are directly giving information. It's a great resource for parents. It's a great resource for anyone who's had any sort of developmental trauma. And it's a great resource for therapists. This is the book that somatic resilience regulation is taught off of. We're teaching the program, and then we went back and found the scientific support for the work we were already doing, and that's what's all in this book.
It's going to be a huge resource for people who are practicing the work, for sure.
Yes.
To have that.
We're looking forward to seeing the book, to seeing it go out. It's been doing pretty well in the early sales, so we're pretty happy.
Yeah, it is. It's very exciting. I'm glad for you.
Yes, thank you.
I think there was something else I was going to say about that, but I don't know. So, anyway.
Well, you should have said the most important part.
Which is what?
You're in the book.
Oh, well.
Your name is in the book. So,
I'm an acknowledgement there.
Yes, you're an acknowledgement part of the book, so thank you. Thank you for doing that.
Oh, of course. I know what I was going to say is, I think one of the pieces that really surprised me when I first started learning this is everybody who is a trained therapist understands something about attachment, and attachment's important. But what you guys brought together for me is that not only is attachment happening, but there's a physiology that goes along with the attachment that's getting built. So if there's a rupture during that time or some kind of unhelpful situation that happens, that the physiology also gets disrupted, and that is what supports someone's regulation through life and through any other traumas that get stacked on top. Is that a pretty good way to say?
And realizing and acknowledging that cortisol, that adrenal, cortisol is, as soon as our body's in alert, we produce cortisol. Cortisol is also used naturally for sleep, for regulation. It's also used for healing. So if you cut yourself or something happens, cortisol helps to regulate and balance the sugars in your body. Mm-hmm. Keeps this all regulated, keeps those things going on. Cortisol is good for us. Mm-hmm. When we don't have any cortisol, healing doesn't occur properly. We overproduce sugars because sugars are used energetically in the transformation. People start being diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. We start seeing other diagnoses that are directly related to developmental trauma.
So what we get told out in the popular articles out in the world is that we produce too much cortisol all the time. So is it that we have too much cortisol and then we burn out, don't have enough, or what is?
Well, it's a confusion in the system because the cortisol is working with the HPA. Cortisol tells the hippocampus, the hypothalamus actually, it tells these parts, the pituitary, the adrenal, the HPA axis, which is the central alert system for our bodies. It tells it when to quiet.
Right.
So if you're getting too much cortisol in your system, eventually it burns out. You flatline. You no longer have spikes or decreases. You just flatline. Mm-hmm.
Is it a little bit like The Boy Who Cried Wolf? It's like
kind of,
your
yes.
HPA axis is always crying wolf. And it's like, okay, I don't have any more to give.
Right. That's a good way of putting it. But yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, it's helpful information to know that those two things go hand in hand. And that's part of why there's a lot of studies that have talked about how cortisol actually changes the brain. And
definitely. It can leave big, huge vacant spaces. Mm-hmm. It can stop the brain from growing. Mm-hmm. Yes.
I'm so grateful for the work that you're doing and sharing it with so many therapists who are bringing it all over the world now.
Thank you.
And, very well done.
And I appreciate you and the work you're doing.
Oh,
so thank you. And thanks for having me today.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.